Because if you want to trace their origin, they want to trace their historical background, definitely they have everything to do with the Igbos. I am from Delta State. I am from a Car South local government area of Delta State. I am from Anioma part of Delta State. Of course, the Igbo speaking part of Delta State. But let me quickly say this, that if you find yourself in my place, how about to be precise, and you have not visited any part of the southeastern part of the country since your birth, let's say you're up to 2 years, 30 years, you will naturally understand.
So we must understand that when Kaduna Nzogu committed the coup in 1966, it wasn't the Edos that were called out. It wasn't even the Deltas that were called out. It was the Igbos, because Kaduna Nzogu is an Igbo man from Anioma state. What we are seeing today is the Deltans and Edo elements are beginning to get panic. They are panicking because Senator Ned Nwoko has finalized his move into APC. And we know that one of the biggest goal of Ned Nwoko is to achieve an Anioma state that will be included into the 6th state for the Igbos. Can we say this is a divide being launched by Tinubu, or the insecurity of the Bini kingdom? Yes, on my screen we can see the comment of a Bini man who is claiming that the Igbos are now doing everything to silence them because they are fighting for their brothers in Anioma state. Well, according to my research, as far as I'm concerned, and at the end of my speech, I will show you a video of an Anioma man who has come out to unequivocally state that he is an Igbo man. That in fact, yes, he is an Ika man, but everything about him points to be an Igbo man. So, why this man, who we have his tweet on my screen, is showing every sign of insecurity, saying that the Igbos cannot come from anywhere and start claiming the Anioma people, because the Anioma people are people who they fought for, who they fought with, and who they fight with even to this very day, that they are their neighbors, that they share the same land together. In fact, another one came out and said that it is the Oba of Bini that gave these Anioma people land, that these Anioma people, when they were landless, when they didn't have anywhere to stay, the Oba of Benin in the past allotted that place for them, maybe because the Igbos rejected them or whatever the case, the story is, and that the Oba of Benin was the one that, because it was Oba of Benin that was controlling all those places alongside with Ata of Igala, that the Igbos were subjects of the Oba of Benin in the time past. Today, while we can see that the Deltans, or should I say the Edolites, are fidgeting and are panicking, is simply for one thing and one thing alone. They know that the Aniomas are Igbos, but they don't want them to go, because when they go, the resources that naturally belongs to the Igbos. Okay, the only region that does not have 6 states are the Southeasterners. And the perfect place a 6th state can come from is the Delta North. That Delta North in the old Eastern region used to be called the Western Igbos. That is what they call them. They are called Western Igbos. The Anioma even occupy 10 local governments. They occupy 10 local governments in that Delta North. Alright? So, where is this issue that the Aniomas are part of the Delta? We must never forget that these are the conspiracies, the conflict, the go-ons. Okay? Those are the military leaders of Nigeria brought in to divide and conquer the Igbos after the war. Immediately after the war, they did everything to cut the Igbos, the eastern region, into pieces. Some parts were thrown to the south-south, because it was that time they brought in the south-south issue the Middle Belt, Niger Delta issue, then they intentionally cut the Southeast into small pieces of just 5 states. I have been to Delta before. I have been to Ikwani. I have also been to some parts of Akwa Ibom that shares the borderland with Abia State. I can see the similarities. Some parts of Abia State speak the language Ibibio, and then some parts of Akwa Ibom State speaks Igbo. So that place, all those lands are all old Eastern region. So they have so much similarities. In fact, they are all cousins. Their roots, they come from almost the same root. They probably have the same father, but different mothers. So you can see the similarities. These guys who are now calling the Igbos for trying to be a usurper, you know the funniest thing? It is even the Anioma people now that are coming out to say that they are Igbos. You know the people who these Edo and Deltas are fighting? They are not fighting the same Anioma people that are claiming to be Igbos. They are extending their insults and their conflict to the Igbo man who just there on his own, jeje. I mean, the Igbos have had enough. They don't have to, I don't think they really necessarily have the strength anymore to start claiming anybody that says it doesn't want to be a part of them. They are not ready to force you. Yes, because they have understood that the best way to actually get what is rightfully yours is, first and foremost, you must be economically viable. When you become economically viable, when you become prosperous, all your lost glory will begin to find you. That is just the principle of life. You get the point? So these guys, these Edo people, or Bini as they are called, are just, trying to fan the embers of wars between the Anioma and the Igbos, the Southeasterners, because they are all Igbos, but according to what Gowon has mapped out, he is separating the Aniomas from the Igbos. Meanwhile, they are all Igbos. Look at on my screen. These are the amendments, the findings, the documentation of Justice Nikki Toby and Ijoma. This is a documentation, a verified one. Look at it on the screen. From an Ijoma, you can see the local governments of Anioma with their, traditional rulers, the name of their traditional rulers, the language they speak. Igbos, you can see Igbos, right? So the point wherein Nigeria has been structured in a way where people will always fight themselves was intentionally done by the Fulanis. But here is a deal. Everybody eye don't clear, every eye don't open. Now let's listen to that Ika man who came out to give us, unquestionable proofs and facts that indeed Anioma, Ikas are all Igbos, and every time, every day, they will fight to be a part of the Southeast, just as Nwoko will achieve in days to come.
The President General of Igbo got his people angry with him, a situation that has since made them strip him of all his titles. And we understand that he's from Ikwere, and the people from Ikwere, particularly his community, are saying they are not Igbo. But it's surprising, a situation where you see people, everything about them is Igbo, the language they speak is Igbo, the name of their place is Igbo, their culture is Igbo, and they will come out to say they are not Igbo. Let me bring some perspective to this. Like I told you, I am from Delta State. I am from a South local government area of Delta State. I am from Anioma part of Delta State. Of course, the Igbo speaking part of Delta State. But let me quickly say this, that if you find yourself in my place, I want to be precise, and you have not visited any part of the southeastern part of the country since your birth, let's say you're up to 20 years, 30 years, you will naturally understand Igbo. And the reason is clear. It's going to show that by providence, they have something in common. And I think this politics has at play, because though we are going to dive into the conversation properly by bringing you some of the controversy, but let me quickly say that as a person, I am from Delta State, and in Delta State, we have what we call the Igbo speaking part of Delta State. Of course, that is the one we call the Anioma, that is Delta North Senatorial District. We understand that even the senator representing Delta North Senatorial District, talking about Senator Nedumuku, made it very clear the other day that he's an Igbo man. I'm from that region, and that why I'm making this emphasis is we still have a good number of persons who are from that region who will tell you that they are not Igbo. And you begin to ask yourself, you will see so many facts that point to the fact that the Igbo have something to do with people from Delta part of the country, particularly this Anioma speaking part of the country. And coincidentally, that is the biggest part of the biggest senatorial district in Delta State. Talking about 9 local governments as against 7 and 8 in the other 2 senatorial districts. And these are since got people talking. But let me get into this proper by bringing in I'm going to read from the Vanguard, saying, "We are not Igbo. Rivers group strip Mbata of all titles for emerging Ohanese president." You go for that to say that the emergence of Senator John Asuta Mbata as the President General of Ohanese Igbo worldwide has caused confusion in Ikwere, the biggest ethnic nationality in Rivers, with Obako Ikwere community stripping the former senator of all chieftaincy titles earlier bestowed on him. Now, if you are looking at the community that is doing this, Obako Ikwere, what they are saying Obako by Igbo meaning, you are talking about people coming together. So even the name they bear in itself is Igbo. So it's quite confusing when someone, everything about him is Igbo. His culture, his language, his tradition, everything about him is Igbo. And you see someone coming out to say he is not an Igbo person. Though I understand that it may be purely politics, because someone like the former governor of that state, talking about Rotimi Amechi, of course, look at the name, he clearly shows you that this is an Igbo name, and he's from Ikwere as well. Have come out clearly, they'll say, yes, I am an Igbo man. So it's surprising when we see this type of division, and it may be difficult to know the exact point, or rather whoever may be causing this controversy, who may have engineered or motivated those Obako Ikwere community people to take this action that is considered backwardness. But let me quickly say that in Rivers State, you have places like Ikwere, like Obibo, that are clearly Igbo part of the Igbo speaking part of the state. And don't forget that before the country was broken into 36 states, from the inception of this country from independence, we had only 3 regions, talking about the northern region, the western region, and the eastern region. So before the creation of South-South, where could an Ikwere man say he's from? That's the question. Where could an Ikwere man say he's from? That's the question. The point is, the government in a way have found a way of giving people a different identity. Because if not for the carve and creation of a place like South-South, I don't think someone from Ikwere will rise one day and say, I'm not an Igbo man. Because the government diplomatically, through political means, ended up in giving them a different identity. Because if you want to trace their origin, you want to trace their historical background, definitely they have everything to do with the Igbos. So it is confusing, and it is unthinkable how they could just rise up and start saying they are not Igbo. Let me bring some perspective to this. Like I told you, I am from Delta State, I am from a Car South local government area of Delta State. I am from Anioma part of Delta State. Of course, the Igbo speaking part of Delta State. But let me quickly say this, that if you find yourself in my place, about to be precise, and you have not visited any part of the southeastern part of the country since your birth, let's say you're up to 20 years, 30 years, you will naturally understand Igbo. And the reason is clear. It's going to show that by providence, they have something in common. It's going to show that the language is, because if you find yourself in a place like Onitsha, a place like Enugu, Anambra, and you have not visited that place all your lifetime, and perhaps you are in your 30s, you will naturally understand the language. That goes to tell you that it is not even about what people is telling you. It's not about the culture, or rather the history that has been handed over to you from your maybe parents, ancestors. It's about what can be seen. It's about what can be proven. Now, in my place, you can see names like Chukuma, names like Ifeanyi. Of course, the former governor of Delta State, we understand his name is Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. I think he himself have equally made it clear that he doesn't deny his Igbo origin. Then you can see names like, yes, there are so many things in that area that point to the fact that you are, even the same name that Rotimi Amechi bears, that Amechi, we equally have it in Delta State, even in my own part of the state. So it is unthinkable when somebody will just wake up and start causing disaffection, try to start fragmenting the people, perhaps because they want some political gain. But for me, I think it is high time people should rise and start resisting such trend, because I don't think it is anything that is giving us any causing us any good. Let me quickly go back to what we have here, talking about the same Obako Ikwere, saying that Obako Ikwere Cultural Organization said it would continue to maintain its unique identity and history separate from others, and as such would not want to be identified with Igbo ethnic nationality. So it's not about Igbo ethnic nationality and culture. So it's not about saying you don't want to identify with Igbo nationality and culture. It's about genuinely, who are you from? It's about are you from this area? It's not even about what your parents handed over to you in terms of the culture and the history. It's about what can be proven. It's about whether you are actually from this area. Because if you look around, the language you speak is Igbo. Your culture is the same thing with Igbo. I don't think it will be justified to stand on the ground that you were handed down a different culture. Let me even draw another reference from my own part of the world, talking about Delta North, talking about Anioma, and specifically talking about Abo, to be specific. With the same way you have for market days in the southeastern part of the country, talking about maybe Anambra, Enugu, Anambra, Enugu, maybe Ebonyi, and all that. The same thing you have for market days in my own part of the country, talking about Nkwo, Eke, Ori, Afo. So you begin to ask, what could have necessitated this cultural, what could have necessitated this way of life? That the same market days you have in the southeastern part of the country is what you have in my outside of the country. The same names you have in the other part of the country, the same names and meaning you have in one part of the country. Culture, you have many similarities. So I think I will leave our viewers to maybe comment on all this on the comment section. But the point is,